You think your ancestors were pure Homo sapiens? That is a lie. Over 60,000 years ago, a biological event forever changed humanity. A part of a dead species is still living in your genes. When the strange bone fragments were found in Germany in the mid-19th century, science called it prehistoric man, a separate crude species, destined for extinction. For over a century, we believed the encounter between modern humans and Neanderthals was a biological dead end, a fierce competition leading to the annihilation of the other species. The traditional theory was simple. Homo sapiens were smarter, more adaptable, and simply outcompeted their brute cousins. But why did they truly vanish? Was it just competition, or did some of their secrets get absorbed into our own blueprint for survival? The climate was harsh, the resources scarce, evolution demanded rapid adaptation, and it found a shortcut. Welcome to the frontier of genomics, the place where history is no longer told by bones, but by complex biological code. In the early 21st century, scientists, led by Svante Pääbo, faced the ultimate challenge: how to extract usable DNA from a substance that has been dead for 40,000 years. Ancient DNA is a mess. It is fragmented, chemically damaged, and heavily contaminated by bacteria and modern human DNA from careless handling. We needed more than old sequencing methods. We needed advanced computational power and AI algorithms to filter the signal from the noise. And then the signal emerged. It did not come from the fragile mitochondrial DNA. It was deep within our command center, the nuclear DNA. Every non-African person today is a living archive for the history of a species once thought to be a failure. The initial research in 2010 announced the number. An average of 1% to 4% of the Eurasian genome carries the Neanderthal imprint. A small percentage, but irrefutable proof. The first major wave of interbreeding happened somewhere in the Middle East, right after Homo sapiens left Africa. This was the gateway for Neanderthal genes into our bloodstream. But the story didn't end there. The more we analyzed, the clearer it became. This was not a one-night stand of evolution. Using machine learning algorithms, we analyzed hundreds of thousands of modern genomes to find there were at least 3 major interbreeding pulses. The second wave likely occurred as our ancestors moved deep into East Asia. Here, Neanderthal genes met and mixed with the genes of another archaic human, the Denisovan. East Asia is a genetic hot zone. Some populations there carry genes from both Neanderthals and Denisovans, creating a unique and complex genetic profile. And finally, the third pulse in Europe. This was more complex and sporadic, but it provided crucial immune genes to the later settlers. The next challenge was, which Neanderthal genes did our genome accept, and which ones did natural selection ruthlessly discard? We found large stretches of our genome that are complete Neanderthal deserts. These are regions where the archaic DNA was consistently eliminated by evolution. A prime example? Genes related to male fertility. Nature rejected these less efficient hybrid traits to maintain reproductive fitness. Conversely, there are genomic jungles, regions where Neanderthal genes were preserved at high density. These are genes related to skin, hair, and most importantly, the immune system. Natural selection made its choice clear. It retained the genes that gave us an immediate survival edge in the harsh new non-African environment. Let's start with the immediate survival benefits. Leaving Africa, our ancestors needed to adapt quickly to the cold climate and low UV light. Neanderthal genes provided keratin, the protein that makes up our hair, skin, and nails. It made our skin thicker, better insulated, and faster to heal from wounds. The biggest advantage lies in immunity. Our immune system is a museum of the ancient battles against viruses and bacteria. The Neanderthals' toll-like receptor, TLR variants, provided H. sapiens with the ability to immediately recognize and attack pathogens they had never encountered in Africa. This is arguably the most successful biological exchange in human history. The Neanderthal genes were the emergency survival kit that allowed us to dominate the planet. However, that very same mechanism for survival has become a double-edged sword in the modern world. The hypersensitive immune system. Genes that helped our ancestors fight off ancient parasites now make us prone to modern autoimmune diseases like asthma, allergies, and eczema. Let's look at the dispersal gene. The Neanderthal variant makes modern humans more susceptible to feelings of loneliness, depression, and has a strong link to being a night owl. A genome designed to thrive in a cold, sparse cave during the Ice Age is not entirely compatible with the 24/7 rhythm of the 21st century. Another classic example, the blood clotting genes. They helped your ancestors stop bleeding faster during a hunting injury, but today they increase the risk of stroke and deep vein thrombosis by up to 63%. We can isolate the specific protein structures that cause this hypercoagulation, a trade-off between ancient survival and modern health. All of this complex analysis is only possible thanks to new generations of AI and sequencing technology. They map our past to predict our future. But perhaps the most tragic irony emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic. The same genes that saved us from ancient plagues betrayed us. A cluster of genes on chromosome 3 inherited directly from the Neanderthals dramatically increased the risk of severe respiratory failure by up to 60%. We are walking genetic mosaics. Every illness, every strength, every quirk we possess is a whisper from a species long thought extinct. Knowledge is power. Now that we have decoded this genetic crime file, what do we do with the information? The future lies in editing this ancient legacy. Personalized medicine, knowing your innate genetic risks so you can take preventative action before disease strikes. Imagine a future where we can precisely switch off the genes that cause chronic disease, yet keep the ones that protect us from infection. The Neanderthal ghost is not a historical mistake. It is proof that the survival of Homo Sapiens was an unintended collaboration. This secret doesn't lie in the past. It lies right in the future of every single one of us. The data is processed. The legacy of the Neanderthal is not extinction but assimilation. Their contribution was an evolutionary lifeline. And their vulnerability is now our own. To survive, we had to borrow their armor. But that armor came with a price tag that only modern epidemics could reveal. The next phase of analysis involves mapping the exact frequency of these Neanderthal-derived genes across global populations. The highest concentrations are not uniform. They follow the ancient migratory routes. The first pulse gave us the foundational immune strength needed for the new continents. These are the founder genes that established immunity outside of Africa. The need to rapidly adapt skin pigmentation to lower UV levels was critical. The Neanderthals' lighter skin gene variants were immediately beneficial, allowing for better vitamin D synthesis in the northern latitudes. The selection pressure was immense. Genes that conferred even a slight advantage were retained and amplified. One unexpected gift: reduced pain sensitivity. An archaic variant of the SCN9A gene means many people today have a higher pain threshold. A necessity for a species living in a brutal, low-medicine world. Endurance over comfort. But the most profound and dangerous legacy lies in the human brain and our psychological makeup. The Neanderthal dispersal gene is also a psychological ticking time bomb. It's linked to an increased risk of chronic loneliness, a feeling of deep social isolation, and clinical depression. The gene may have originally promoted survival by encouraging small group size and cautious vigilance, but today it works against our large interconnected societies. The deadly efficiency of the Neanderthal's clotting genes continues to haunt us. We can model the exact protein that causes excessive blood stickiness, a perfect survival mechanism turned deadly health risk. The tragic climax of this genetic legacy arrived with the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The same immune hypervigilance that saved our ancestors from parasites caused a cytokine storm when fighting COVID-19. The archaic segment on chromosome 3 made the lungs of carriers highly vulnerable to severe inflammation and acute respiratory distress. An ancient survival mechanism became a fatal vulnerability in the face of a modern pathogen. We stand today as living proof that extinction is not always absolute. Their end was our beginning. But the data holds far more than just risk profiles. A specific gene variant from Neanderthal interbreeding is linked to better adaptation to high altitude. Populations in high mountain ranges inherited genes that improve blood oxygenation efficiency. This deep dive allows us to understand the biochemical mechanism behind every adaptation. We are now correlating these ancient genes with almost every modern disease, from diabetes to stroke. The need to treat these archaic vulnerabilities drives much of our modern pharmaceutical research. Every vial here contains a piece of the puzzle, a sample that unlocks an ancient secret. The scale of the data is unprecedented. We are comparing genomes across continents and millennia. The results are definitive. The Neanderthal legacy is woven into the very fabric of our being. The traditional narrative of human evolution must be rewritten. It was never a linear journey. It was a messy, high-stakes gamble with biological exchange. The question is no longer, where did we come from, but what are we now? Every face in this crowd carries a piece of that ancient history. They may have vanished, but their genes ensured our survival. The knowledge we gain now will shape the next million years of our evolution. We owe them our resilience, our ability to thrive in the coldest environments, and the defenses that kept ancient plagues at bay. Understanding the hyperreaction to COVID-19 allows us to design better, safer vaccines. Preventative medicine is the greatest weapon against this ancient genetic blueprint. A mere 10,000 years of overlap created a biological bomb that spans millennia. The power to edit the defects while preserving the benefits is now within our grasp. The human genome is the ultimate historical document. The work of the archaeologist and the geneticist have finally converged. We are now capable of analyzing millions of years of evolution in a matter of hours. The density of the data is staggering. It's a world within a world. The Neanderthal influence is present from the very start of human development. We see their genetic fingerprints in our dreams, our skin, and our diseases. Even the way our brains process information holds archaic echoes. They faced the dark. We inherited their solution. This is not a story about human purity. It is a story about genetic necessity. The Neanderthal ghost is not a historical mistake. It is proof that the survival of Homo sapiens was an unintended but crucial collaboration. Their legacy is a hidden key to our past, present, and future. The secret is no longer locked in the past, it is fully decoded. We have mapped the entire archaic contribution. Understanding this history is the first step toward a healthier, more resilient human future. The final code has been written. Evolution is an ongoing experiment, conducted across geological time. Our light was sparked by a partnership with the darkness. The work of analyzing this dark secret is done. We are the living archives of an archaic species. Our success is their silent legacy. A history written in every cell of your body. The dark secret is no longer a secret. It is the code of who we truly are. They tried to bury the truth with earth and time. But science has unearthed it in the most unlikely place. The final analysis is complete. The archaic ghost is inside you. It is in your skin, your strength, and your silent struggles. A dark secret resting right at the core of all human life.